Morning, Kahal Kadosh. Beruchim Abayim to everybody. Today, Wednesday, the 6th day of Adar Bet, corresponding to the 9th of March. Today's class, graciously sponsored by Mr. Albert Dweck and family for the Refuah Shelema of Eliyahu ben Rachel, Dr. Eli Ptiha, as well as in honor of his son, Maurice Dweck from iTorah.com. Additionally, today's class also graciously sponsored by Eli Levy in honor of the Hatam Bar Mitzvah, Divo Ze'ev Atar HaKohen. I'm happy to report that Baruch Hashem last night, to continue with the class that we had yesterday about renewal, 25 people register and sign up to become potential kidney donors. So Baruch Hashem, that is a great zechut for Am Israel, and obviously for every one of the families that Baruch Hashem step up to the plate to try to attempt to save the person's lives. For those in the room, we started, Rabotai, the live recording, so everything you say will be recorded automatically. So let's get moving to the Gemara from Masechet Baba Batra. We know that the Gemarot in the topic of Nezikin on the 4th volume of the Mishnah deals with damages. And Baba Batra deals also with a lot of real estate transactions. That's why we have, for example, one interesting halacha is the concept of Bar Mesra. Bar Mesra means, let's say, that you live in house A and you want to sell the house. According to the halacha, you need to go to your next door neighbor in the event that he's a Yehudi, and you give him the first right, and you offer him, will you like to purchase this house? There is such a halacha, by the way. I remember my first encounter with Bar Mesra was 25 years ago. And at the end of the day, they came to an agreement, and Baruch Hashem, happy ending. The second case was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, somebody put the house for sale. There were 4 offers on the house, so to speak, but then the one next to him says, I want to buy it. So they went to us, the Hakamim, okay, if the price is whatever the fellow is asking, he gets priority in purchasing the house. At the end of the day, the seller changed his mind, and everybody went back home, and there was no deal whatsoever. But it's important to know, it's definitely is important, thank you so much, that these halachot do exist. For example, today in the morning, in the Netz Minyan, I left the kahal hanging with a question. If you're allowed to take a picture without permission, we all know that to record without permission, it's illegal, and not allowed by the halakha. Now, what about the day of Purim come, and you see somebody's doing something funny? Let me put it on a, how do you call this platform? Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, right? All these are dangerous things. You know that 48 hours ago, I was involved in a cyberbullying case with a high school student. Cyberbullying. Today, these are lashon, these are words that, you know, in the past they used to be in the dictionary. But today, putting in TikTok, in Instagram, and Facebook definitely are devarim betelim and very dangerous at many levels. So the Lacha says clearly that to take a picture from someone without permission is a problem. Now, so what happened here? Many times, people come and they take pictures. Many people ask permission. I want you to know. Many people say, do you mind if I take a picture? Not a problem. Sometimes people ask permission after they took the picture. That's okay. But Baruch Hashem, if you take a picture from the class, giving a class, from the Kahal learning, from the beautiful synagogue, is obviously not an issue. Because I don't think I will mind that a person wants to take a picture of us learning Torah. Believe me, it's a good picture to have. But let's say that sometimes you see that people take pictures of uncomfortable moments or situations, and from a halakha perspective, it could be a prohibition. And I don't know how many averot can be built into that concept. But comes the halakha and it says a very interesting concept. Let's say that my house has a courtyard and your house has a courtyard, meaning to say house to the left, house to the right, and an open space that is shared by both of us. Now, do I have limitations on what you can do or you cannot do? Do you know how many cases in Israel, not so much in America, but at least many years back in Israel, that there were lawsuits because, and I had a case like this 6 months ago. I told them, the case is in Israel. Why are you calling me to give you an answer? Says, I don't know the details. Go to Israel. That's where the case is. Go and ask the question to the Bedin. What happened? A fellow purchased a unit. And the sale of the unit, it's based on the view. Okay? The view. You know, we have realtors in the room, right? Location, location, location. If you have waterfront, if you have ocean view, it's a nice apartment, perhaps higher in price. If you look at the garage, much less. If you are on top of the valley, much less. So all these are different parameters. Although I'm not in the realtor, but sometimes you have to put out fires in the real estate business. So I know a bit on these parameters of the concept of the realtors. So the case was that this fellow purchased an apartment with a magnificent view. After he finished and bought it, everything beautiful, 2 months later, they built a building. Uli. So if you go to Sunny Isles, Chazak Baruch, if you go to Sunny Isles, you'll see this halachic question there. I don't know details, and I'm not going to say the names of the condominiums because, right, okay, I know you know, guys, I know you know. But if I'm telling you I'm not saying the name, there are reasons why I'm not saying the names. So don't add more wood into the fire. Okay? You know, that's a metzius. That's the reality of life. Now, so what happened? This fellow wants the money back of the apartment. Says, the reason you sold the apartment that has a magnificent view is because you knew that there was a building coming. And you sold it to me without disclosing that there is a new apartment building coming and blocking the view. Guess what? I think he won the case. And they came to a settlement, like a discounted rate on the property. That was what he told me not long ago. So comes the Gemara and it says, Bakol, in every matter that you want to do on something that is going to change the facade or the area that is an open space for both tenants, me'akevim ze et ze. You can tell them, you want to do a barbecue? Go ahead, do a barbecue. But don't leave it outside that it becomes an eyesore every time I go to the backyard. That's one example. Many buildings, obviously in Aventura, that we have a lot of condominiums. Condominiums have a lot of halachot. Correct? Al-Shulchan Aruch on the halachot of condominiums. There's a Shulchan Aruch called halachot of condominiums. And basically they tell you, you can have this in the balcony, you cannot have that in the balcony. Sometimes they tell you got to remove it, it's not legal, or we don't want it to look like a hefker, so to speak. But comes the Gemara and it says, חוץ מן הכביסה, שאין דרכן של בנות ישראל להתבזות על הכביסה. The Gemara says that the homeowner cannot tell the other homeowner, you're not allowed to do laundry in the backyard of the home. Now, let's think for a moment, Gemara times laundromat. Okay? Today is very easy. Apartments and condominiums and homes have machines. What do? Open the door, press a couple of buttons, use a soap and khalas. But in the olden days, how was the concept of laundry? They used to go to the rivers. That's why if you remember the Gemara in Baba Kama, one of the 10 takanot of Ezra Sofer, what was? Do laundry on Thursday, not on Friday. Why on Thursday? Because doing laundry was a full day job. So you're going to do it. Remember your mother, your grandmother, before the washing machines came. I remember the first time my father, alav shalom, bought a washing machine at home. What was the excitement? Seeing the spinning cycle, spinning. We're going back when I remember I was in elementary school, so it must have been mid-70s or early 70s. I remember that was our excitement. We want to see how the machine dances. That was healthy, Baruch Hashem, healthy type of amusement. Okay? So imagine going back to the Talmud, they used to go to the river, they used to roll their sleeves, and that's Gemara is going to talk about this in a moment, and they used to wash it by hand, squeeze it, hang it up to dry, and then come home. So Ezra Sofer said, if people are going to do this on a Friday, we're going to be neglecting Shabbat. So therefore he made a takana to do it on Thursday. Halakha lema'aseh. Okay? For practical halachic purposes, today this takana is not really active. Why not? Simply because today everybody has washing machines and things can be done easily. Now, comes the Gemara and it says, you cannot prevent your neighbor to do the laundry in the backyard. Why? Because it says that going to the river for a Jewish girl, although it's doable, but then you expose her to challenges of seniut. What is the seniut? First of all, modesty, right? But they have to sit down on the floor, they have to roll up the sleeves, maybe they pick up the skirt, they don't want to get wet. All these fears do exist. And the Gemara writes clearly, שאינן יכולות לשמור כראוי על סניעותן באותה שעה, because they cannot protect their modesty when they're doing laundry. So you cannot say, you know what, go to the river and do the laundry there. No, seni'ut, the halachas, the Gemara is, and that's halakha lema'aseh, that you're allowed to do laundry in the back courtyard that you share with him, even though he's not happy with it, because you're doing it l'shem shamayim. And the Gemara brings a proof. Excuse me?
There's a similar problem with that too.
Depends. I hear you. But the seni'ut that the Gemara is not referring to, remember one thing, that back then, in the time of the Talmud, the garments were not as they are today. What was the garments of people? A tunic, a shawl? Exactly. There was no issues of seni'ut per se, like if you hang up on the garments or ladies, whatever garments. So I hear your question. So for sure, the Gemara seems to imply that when you're in the backyard of your home and you do everything in your home and you just hang it up and you go back home, that's the end of the story. And the Gemara brings an interesting pasuk, and it says as follows. The pasuk writes, in Yeshaya Navi, Mi yagur lanu Esh ochela. It says, who will be able to be truly connected with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Pasuk brings a lot of steps. Holech tzedakot vedober mesharim. A person that acts in a kosher, proper way. Mo'ez bevesa ma'ashakot. Despises profits made from cheating people. No'er kapar mitemoch bashohad. A person that shakes off the hands from accepting bribery. Otem ozno mishemoa damim. Closes his eyes of lashon hara and all these things that are connected to it. Be'osem aynab mere otra. And closes the eye of not seeing things which are inappropriate. A few weeks ago, we finished Shobabim. Remember? And this year we had an expansion. Shobabim Tat. And one of the things that the Musar and the Sha'arei Kedusha and the whole topics that we learned, what was the concept? Shemirat ha'inayim. Okay, so comes the Pasuk and it says, Osem einam mire otra, Amar Bi'ya Barabah. זה אדם שאין מסתכל בנשים שבשעה שעומדות על הכביסה. This zechut that a person, let's say you happen to be walking, you're walking, and then you see a lady on the floor sitting down doing laundry, etc. Says, okay, accidentally you saw, okay, but you know what? Keep going. Don't stay to check, oh, let me see the brand shoes she's wearing. Hamavdil. Okay? It's a nisayon. And it says that what was the issue? Shedarkam legalot shokem. That the ankle will be exposed. I wish that the problem today is the ankle. I wish that the problem is the ankle. Is the ankle, the femur, the knee, above the knee. I'm not going to go more graphic details. You live in Aventura in Miami, so you understand what I'm referring to. Sometimes nisyonot. Correct? Beautiful. What a powerful Gemara. And the Gemara goes even further. It says, let me see how can I paraphrase this concept. So we so far understood about the ladies. Laundry, seniot, modesty. Now the Gemara brings a different statement from Rabbi Yohanan and Rabbi Bena'a. What is this statement? Haluk shel talmid hacham kesad. How should a rabbi be dressed? But let's clarify. Haluk in English, it could be like he said before, a jalebi, right? Used to be this tunic. If you look at the pictures of the Hachamim, but not only of the Hachamim, of our great-grandfathers, and going back more generations, how they used to dress. Look sometimes at the pictures of the Ben Ish Hai or others, Hachamim, great tzaddikim, they used to have this tunic. Some of them used to have a tarbush or a turban, and they used to have like a gartel, like a black belt around their waistline. Now, why they used to wear this concept? Because short answer, this is connected to the abnet of the Kohen in the Bet HaMikdash. The Kohen used to have this belt, right, abnet, that had a separation. That was the purpose, to separate between the upper part of the body and the lower part of the body. Today, how do we circumvent this concept? By wearing a belt. Your belt becomes your gartel. In the Hasidic world, they wear a gartel, which is something black and thin that goes around the waist, and this is custom-made for this type of purpose. But from the Sephardic perspective, the fact that we wear a belt and the fact that we wear pants, something that it wasn't part of the common dress code, going back a century or two ago. So they used to have this jalabiyah or this robe, so to speak. And the Gemara writes, Haluk she'talmid hacham kesad. How they supposed to look? Kol she'en besaro nir'a mitahtav. It says it needs to make sure that the flesh of the rabbi will not be visible. Now, it could not be transparent silk. Sometimes I do weddings, right? And sometimes weddings do become a challenge, problematic. So one of the topics that we talk with the groom and bride is the dress code under the chuppah. And one day a bride sends me a picture. This happened a while back. Baruch Hashem, not recently. A while back, a bride sends me, look, Rabbi, you're going to be very happy. I have long sleeves. I said, okay, I'll check it out. He said, please don't share it with my hatan because he doesn't know how the dress looks like. So she sends me the picture of the sleeves only, no other part of the body, obviously. I said to her, beautiful, there is a long sleeves, but I have a small issue. Say, what? It's see-through. It's see-through. Oh, I said, but you said no short sleeves. I said, yeah, but the idea is that Baruch Hashem, she was receptive. Thank you so much. And Baruch Hashem, everything was beautiful. Okay? So, comes the Gemara and it says that the robe that the Hachamim were, Sarich liot aroch at kaf haragel, has to be all the way to the bottom. For what purpose? So the heel of the feet is not visible when they walk barefooted. Now, again, for us, may be difficult to truly understand some of these facts. Who goes barefooted today? Every normal person. Obviously, if you are on the pool, perhaps you are barefooted, but usually people on the street, what do you see? All the shoes, sneakers, sandals, whatever it is. But the Gemara seems to talk about the Hachamim in this matter. Now, Talet, Kesadhu, how was the Talet? Let's clarify. The Gemara explains that this Talet is not the Talet that we know it as the Talet for prayer, but it basically means a shawl on top of the person's body. So it says, Kol she'en haluko nir'o mitahtav tefah. Yani, you said, you got to put this shawl on top of the jalabiyah and make sure that the undergarment is not visible. Again, we're dealing now with lessons of the Gemara. Now, just 1 second. The table. How do you know? So let's clarify this Gemara. Because now he's going to discuss about the table. The table. How should the table look? You'll be surprised at some of the guidelines of the Gemara. Some of these things, we don't do them today. But it's good to know. Because at the end of the day, I venture to say that although the Gemara use the word, the garments of a Talmid Chacham, I don't believe personally that this statement was referring to only Talmidei Chachamim. This is how the Yehudim used to dress back then. You ever saw how the Romans dressed or how the Greeks dressed? They always are portrayed with naked, short skirts, different sandals, everything open. The Yehudim, on the opposite side, are portrayed with seniut, with modesty, including in the men's department. So listen now to the table. So it says, Shenei Shelish, 2/3 of the table where people are eating, Mechuseh Begedil, you cover it with a tablecloth. For what purpose? So if somebody gets dirty, they have the tablecloth to clean their hands with. Now, this is before napkins came to the world. Okay? That's why I gave you the heads up before I started, because for us, if you see someone today taking the tablecloth and cleaning their hands or their mouth, what's going to be your reaction? You need refuah shelema. Correct? Because most normal people today, they don't do it. But seems to be that the Talmud allow them to do that. For what purpose? It says very simple. Because if the hands are dirty, and now they're going to start touching food, now the food is going to get dirty with the dirty fingers. So instead of dirtying the food, and people saying, I'm not going to eat that, you know, it's like, I'm going to bring an example. I'm not proud to bring this example, but I think that is a realistic example that occasionally in the past we have to speak about. Baruch Hashem, there was no need recently to do so, but in the past there was a need. And this is happening in the 21st century. Not talking about 1400 or 2000 years ago, that who heard the word napkin. You know, I'm surprised that they even had tablecloth on the table, okay? And probably didn't look so nice and elegant and stitched and presentable like we have today. So imagine yourself that we have, let's say, a plate of egg salad, okay? You take your spoon, you take some from the egg salad, you eat, and I don't want to continue. What do you do next? You know the outcome, right? You double dip. You go back, delicious. Or you take the pita or the ka'ak, you dip it in the tahina, and you dip it again. Will you eat from that bowl? No. And has nothing to do with COVID. Has nothing to do with COVID. You will not. Why not? Because you don't want to eat something that somebody ate. That's one of the reasons why the bagels come this way. It's not cheap. It costs us. Everything costs. But the fact that it comes individually wrapped in a tray, we did it so the kahal feels comfortable. And people don't start touching the bread. Soft, hard, days old, you know, crunchier, harder, etc. That's part of the reasons why we do it. So the Gemara says that to cause bizayon to the food, to cause like an embarrassment to the food, that's also a problem. Because if nobody's going to touch it, so what happens now? Maybe you prepare, maybe your wife works 6 hours, 7 hours to prepare a beautiful table, and then somebody with lack of derecheres and acting in a very gross way, so to speak, it ruined the whole meal for everybody. Very powerful message, how the Gemara tells us. Also the Gemara writes, make sure that you have a space to pile up the plates and trays that they finish using. Let's clarify. Today, to most of us, this really is not applicable. Because today, Baruch Hashem, you have kitchens, you have countertops, meat side, dairy side, drawers, dishwasher. Baruch Hashem, thank God. I don't know how was life even 200 years ago, okay, or 300 years ago. But Baruch Hashem, we live in a generation that basic table, chairs, paper goods, disposable, cleaning supplies are readily available. But in the olden days, probably your dining room was your living room, was your bedroom, and was your kitchen. And you needed to somehow maneuver and organize everything so your table in honor of Shabbat and Yom Tov will look presentable as well. At the end of the day, we cannot we cannot forget the fact, the pasuk that says in the book of Yehezkel, Vaydaber Elai Ze Shulchan Asher Lifnei Hashem, says the pasuk writes clearly that the table of a Yehudi, it's a table of the Bet HaMikdash, and that's why berachot before and after, kashrut, even a short word of Torah, etc. And the Gemara writes one more. It says, how was the bedrooms of the Talmidei Hachamim? Let's see. When you have double bed, queen size bed, king size bed, California king size bed, it's a mahloket in the halachot. California is smaller than the real king size. I don't know why they have such a halakha in California. I learned this when I went to buy a mattress. They said, what size do you want? I said, what size do you have? So he gives me a whole shiur. Twin, double, full. Double and full could be the same. Queen, California king, and king. Maybe today there is a whole different, a level when it comes to mattresses. So, right? So it says as follows. כל שאין תחתיה אלא סנדלים בימות החמה ומנעלים בימות הגשמים. It says, under the bed, they used to put sandals and they used to put some type of shoe in order to protect their feet when they needed to walk when it was raining. So what do you understand? That if it was not raining, how they walked? Barefooted. Unbelievable. Unbelievable concept. But so what's the Gemara is trying to tell us? It says that the beds of regular people, מעורב, היו מניחים הכל תחת המיטה, אף מאכלים בכלים. This comes also from the Gemara in Masechet Gitin. It's called Osar Balus. So, for practical halachic purposes, under the bed, you're not allowed to put any kind of food or drinks whatsoever. Doesn't matter if they are open or closed. Why? Short answer, because under the bed that a person sleeps, there is a concept of tum'ah that affects the night of the sleeping of the person. So therefore, like you don't put food in the bathroom. No, by the way, I had a case like that a while back. Closed cans. It happened in a restaurant. I went to a restaurant. I went to use the restroom. I'm human, yes. Okay? So what do I see? I see canned goods in the bathroom. So I called the owner and I said, I don't think that you can put food in the bathroom. He says, why not? It's closed. So I gave him a whole shiur. I said, wow, I didn't know that. Take him out. So he said, where do I put them? I don't know. That's your business. It's not my business. I'm a customer. But you have to find a way where to put the food. So the Gemara says that you were able to determine who the person was of their house in the way that they conducted themselves, even in these small messages that the Gemara gives us. And it says that they used to היו מערבים בתוכם הכל ביחד. Says they used to put anything that they can under the bed. You know, למעשה, today, we don't encourage people to go barefooted. The heter to go barefooted today, some people go barefooted in the homes, etc. The heter is not good to begin with. Spiritually, it's not good. But the heter that could be found is that you're not really walking on the soil of outside of Israel that has tum'ah to begin with. You walk on something, carpet, cement, tile, marble, etc. But other than that, it should be avoided when possible.
It's like barefoot on marble.
Repeat it again?
Barefoot on marble causes loss of memory.
No, the Gemara discusses that if your feet touch very cold floor, it affects your eyesight.
Wow.
I'm 98% sure. Yes.
Storage, Rabbi, under the food is permitted, not permitted.
Ideally, no. According to this
Not even
Gemara,
shoes or
shoes, he says that the shoes, but from my childhood, I remember nothing under the bed. And we're going back a few years back.
I've seen sometimes in the advertisement, a small apartment, something like that. They have storage built into a plastic
Yes,
bed.
yes.
This
Yeah.
is
Again, let's clarify. I don't think that is forbidden to say yes, but the Gemara's concern is about the food.
food.
The more concern of the Gemara, food or drinks, because since there is something of tum'ah, let me ask you a question.
Even with the compartment?
Okay, so the question is, it's a good question. The question is, if a compartment circumvents, which, for example, I'm going to bring a halachic question.
Yeah.
In certain communities, Kohanim are very careful of not traveling to Israel with El Al. Why? For the fear that maybe human remains on the plane, and that causes tum'at ohel for a Kohen. That is a tradition more in the Hasidic world. From a halachic perspective, based on the rulings, I believe, of the great Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, that this impurity has many layers to allow it. Number one, you don't know in which part of the airplane the remains are. Number one, maybe you're sitting in row 20 and the remains are 2 layers down in row 45. Because usually, the way it was explained to me many years back, when God forbid human remains, they need to be transferred, they first put the human remains to have its proper respectful position, and then afterwards they put all the luggages and everything else. But because there are so many compartments in between, layers of fiberglass, plastic, covers, nets, tie-ups, etc., so that creates a mega mechitza, not to create a problem. So it may be the answer also to the young men or you mentioned, I believe, if you have them in a compartment, let's say that you have a drawer underneath their bed, on the pull-out, right? And you have a drawer, and now this drawer is completely covered. Maybe in that case, based on the halachic reasoning of the Kohanim and the human remains on the same flight, maybe something of permission. But for sure, food or drinks not, because it attracts the ayn hara, the ruach ra'ah. That's why you can't drink water of my maharonim. God forbid. If you, God forbid, you drink my maharonim, maybe you should go to the mikveh immediately with your mouth open. Because the my maharonim is water of tum'ah, of impurity.
What about the water under the bed when they wash the hands?
Excellent question. He's talking about Negelwasser. Negelwasser. Just for the audience. Negel in Yiddish means nails. Wasser means water. So according to many opinions, including the Zohar Kadosh, Netilat Yadayim, when a person wakes up in the morning, should be done next to the bed. That's my duty at home. If you come to my home, my job every night, make sure there is Netilat Yadayim. Okay, so we do it. Baruch Hashem from childhood. That's the way we were raised and we grew up. Now, if you don't have the water next to your bed, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to walk 4 steps, stop, 4 steps, 4 steps, stop, so the tum'ah doesn't linger with the person. Preferably is to do it next to the bed. But under no circumstances, to my knowledge, that water goes under the bed.
Even with the cover?
I have it next to my bed. On the night table, I have it there. Come, I already took care of it. I finish, I get up. I finish, I throw the water. I bring it to my wife. She gets up. She throws the water. We don't let it sit because it's water of tum'ah. So to put it underneath the bed, like they will say in Arabic, shmek nishgit, shmek nishgit, it's, I will not do it. If you ask my humble
I'm trying
opinion.
to say that the bucket of water is under the bed, so you take it out and then wash with it
But what is the water that you're going to use?
under the bed. In the
So
bucket.
that may be a
It's
problem.
open, the bucket.
Yeah, it's a problem.
That's what I'm saying.
I will say that is a problem. If you're asking me, in my limited opinion and knowledge, I think that they better keep it on top of the nightstand or on the floor, but be careful when you wake up in the morning. Because there was a great rabbi who said, I don't understand. If the Kohanim, they used to wash their hands and feet when they came to the Mishkan, to the Bet HaMikdash, right, the Kior Bekano, so why don't we wash our feet when you do Netilat Yadayim, do Netilat Raglayim? You know the reason why it wasn't activated? Shalom Bayit.
Whose Sara was this?
Rab Nachman,
The wrestler?
yes. I saw it in the Etratzon. He says, if it's up to me, I would have established Netilat Raglayim.
So better to go to the mikveh every morning.
Okay, that's a whole different shear. But we're talking about the Netilah when the person wakes up in the morning. Now, imagine yourself, if the Kohanim did it, that's how the Kohanim first responsibility or action that the Kohanim will do prior to starting anything in the Bet HaMikdash was Kiddush Yadayim Veraglayim, the washing of the hands and the feet. The right hand washed the feet, the right feet, the right leg, the left, and that's how they did it. And they used to walk, yes, they used to walk barefooted in the Bet HaMikdash. And the reason why they walk barefooted in the Bet HaMikdash, so there will not be a mechitzah between the kedusha, the sanctity of the ground of the Bet HaMikdash and the body of the Kohanim. Because imagine yourself if you wear socks or shoes. So automatically the holiness doesn't pass the sole of the shoe. Now that you're barefooted, so the kedusha of the ground of the Bet HaMikdash was transferred over to the entire bodies of the Kohanim.
Scientifically,
Eh,
we know now, if you walk barefoot on the beach, on sand, there's energy that comes out that restores and protects the body. The organs, the mind,
Okay.
blood cells.
Okay, we learned the other day, for those that were here, the Sha'atnes. Remember the Sha'atnes class we gave a week or two ago? And we explained from the Torah perspective, and then somebody shared with me an article that says that every fabric, every type of material, I have it, every type of material causes a certain level of positive energy in the human body. The linen by itself is, let's say, 5,000 points. Wool by itself is 5,000 points. But the moment that the linen and the wool are mixed, that energy goes to zero. It shuts down the immune system of the person.
מכות, ירם ובית, בדרך כלל דמי שללת מוליכן אותו. מרשו שם,
מה אומר?
מחשוב וכל דבר, כל מחשוב דבר מייס נעשה מלאכים. עלי מלאכים, they take you everything you go. Every positive thought, that makes positivity.
Yeah, that's good. But that is on a general way of life.
Right.
But the interesting scientific aspect of it was that obviously we don't need to wait till that scientific report to fulfill the mitzvah of Sha'atnes.
Cures the body.
The opposite. It
No,
kills.
No, not the shatnez. The water, the energy from the earth.
Okay, that's a different shiur.
Yeah, okay.
That's a different shiur. Actually, there is a question if you can walk barefooted on the beach
Where?
because of tum'ah.
Where's the question?
The question if you can walk on the beach barefooted or not. Just the psak of Chacham Obadiah Yosef says that the heter to walk barefooted in a home is because you have floor, tile, soundproofing, cement. So you're not actually walking on the eres atum'ah. But the beach is questionable. But we're not talking about the beach because Baruch Hashem we don't go to the beach. Even if you go to the beach, you gotta make sure there is a kosher one. Okay, my good friends? So I think that today's Gemara was an eye-opener, and I'll summarize it in a nutshell without going into every detail that the Gemara of today discussed. But remember, we quoted in the past a very powerful pasuk from Shlomo HaMelech that says, Bechol derachecha da'ehu. In every step of your life, there is a room for godliness. How many topics we covered today? The bed, the shoes, the tables, the laundry, my maharonim, netilat yadayim next to your bed, and and the partners do the laundry. I don't want you to do the laundry in my backyard. It bothers me. The Gemara says, go back to inside. Laundry is permissible. And going back to a case, I started to mention, going back to the beginning, I started to mention the case in Israel, but I didn't tell you what happened afterwards. The fellow bought an apartment. That was a different case. One case was not long ago, condominium. The other case was in Bnei Brak. The fellow bought an apartment, and then the fellow across the street built an extension to his unit, built another bedroom, and blocked the view from the fellow. You the problem that you have? Okay. You had it. How did you fix it?
I moved.
Okay, Hazaku Baruch. He moved. That's a smart way.
I had a better
I
problem.
went from Brooklyn to Deal.
I hear you. Okay. From Brooklyn to Deal is a beautiful move. You didn't move to Hialeah. Okay, Baruch Hashem. Thank God. You moved good. But, Baruch Hashem, when we say in the Mishnah that says, Arhek, sometimes the best solution is to move. Sure. If you have issues with your neighbor, you know what it says? Arhek mishachen ra. Move.
Let him move.
I understand, but you know what? Sometimes you need to be the one who makes the move in order to protect yourself. Again, every case, let's be honest here, every case has its own peculiarity, halachic matter, hashkafa matter. Okay? It's not automatically, okay, my neighbor chalas. No, the Gemara of today is telling you, if he wants to do laundry, chazak u'baruch. Do laundry every day. So there are cases of this nature that are happening today. I don't know what's going to be in the two buildings there, as I said before, because the way they were built was one building, very visible, nice. Suddenly they built another building in front, and the difference between the balcony, let's say I live in this building, you live in that building, probably I can throw you something from my balcony to your balcony.
It's already up? So the building's already up?
Yes.
People living in both buildings?
No, only in one.
And two Jewish owners?
No, we don't know these details. No, I mean, I see it in Maaseh. I don't know more details than that. I'm sure that they had to have some type of compensation, I think, to make it. I believe that there was some type of compensation to get the permit to build, blocking you. Can you imagine? You have unobstructed view suddenly, and now maybe 2 feet or 3 feet. Okay, I don't know how many feet in between.
6 feet.
6 feet, right? The law is 6 feet of easement between both properties. I mean, we don't understand. I feel bad for those people in the original building. Now your building suddenly became dark, even in the middle of the day. Mamash, go drive on Collins Avenue, 170, what street?
King David Hotel.
Hazako Baruch, right there.
176.
Okay, my good friends, after. Okay, my good friends?
One question.
Yes, quick question.
Is taking off the shoe, Moshe Rabbeinu took it. Hashem told him, take off the shoe, come up to the mountain.
Shal ne'alecha me'al raglecha.
What's really the reason he told him that?
Excellent question, excellent question. So, the Peshat, everybody knows, the Pasuk says you are standing now in holy ground. The deeper meaning is that God, Hashem, is appointing Moshe Rabbeinu to be the leader of the entire Jewish people. To be a leader, you need to be able to understand the person's pain. If you wear shoes, you cannot feel the person's pain. If you walk barefooted, you can feel it. You know the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says, Al tadin et havercha ad shetagia limkomo. Don't judge your friend until you're in his shoes. What does it mean in English? I want you to be in my shoes to understand this. You know, God says to Moshe, when you're wearing shoes, you don't really understand. But when you walk barefooted, you get to feel every inch, every millimeter, every stone, every rock, any type of debris, and you're going to be more thoughtful. That was the reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu, remove your shoes. Okay, I don't know what shoe brand Moshe Rabbeinu wore. Probably he didn't wear shoes. It was yani like a sandal. That's how they used to, they used to wear those days. So, but that's the deeper reason why Hashem said to Moshe, feel it. Yes. Yes. According to many halachic authorities, tonight it's also the night of the Hilulah of Moshe Rabbeinu. Being Zayin Adar tonight. So B'ezrat Hashem Beli Neder tomorrow. We'll dedicate the class in honor of Moshe Rabbeinu. We'll talk about the life of Moshe Rabbeinu. Light a candle tonight. And B'ezrat Hashem, Moshe hu Goel HaRishon, Moshe hu Goel HaAharon. Moshe was the first redeemer for the Jewish people, and Moshe Rabbeinu needs to finish up his mission. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen Be'amen. Rabbi Hanani ben Akashia Omer, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל לפיכך, הרבה להם תורה מצוות שנאמר, אדוני חפש למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה